So some of you might grab these cushions at the front, and then anyone else coming in grab some more. We're actually going to start with lying down. Very popular often.
I need some big space here.
So spread out. Spread out, and we're going to lie down, and we're going to lie down with our head facing west. Not for religious reasons, but for organisational. So we're going to start off with lying down, so grab yourself some cushions, the cushions that you need to sit on, and a mat. Those of you at the front, you might want to spread this way a bit more, so we've got more space. This is how you get popular as a meditation teacher, you start with lying down. Just give you a hint for the future. So use all the available space at the moment. So we're going to have heads facing west and lying down, which means that your feet will be facing east. And see if you can lie down straight. It's amazing how many people lie down crooked. You're crooked. Don't be crooked. Yeah, but just crooked. Insist on the space. So you might need to cooperate a bit with each other on this. Can't be that hard. So yeah, just grab your spouse for space. If there's not enough space there, you can leave some space at the front. If possible, have your knees up and your feet hip wide apart. Lots of space over here. I'll come round and collect your loose change.
We should be.
Yeah,
There's quite enough room.
yeah, perhaps everybody
Shift
squiggle
forward a
towards.
bit.
Think possibly move towards the shrine. That's some.
Yeah.
Create that
Metaphorically,
vibe.
let's move towards the Buddha.
Yeah, literally, okay. Okay, so like a sleep in. So you want to put your head on the cushion, but just the burly part of your head on the cushion. There's space over here as well, so. No, you can point anywhere you like. Within reason. You come here, you can come and lie here. Yeah. No funny business. Turn that right down for me. So there is some more space up at the front, just by me here, literally lying at my feet. That'll be fine. Promise. You can actually put someone else on the shrine over here, that's fine. The Buddha will understand. Okay, so as soon as you just make sure you can actually touch your neck so that your head isn't on the cushion itself. I mean, your neck is on the cushion. So you want your cushion just to be supporting the bony part of your head so your neck can drop down back in alignment with the spine. Okay, so you probably just need a bit of a kick, probably. I do as well, but I'm in charge, so I can't do that. So this is your chance just to sort of completely stop, just sort of let go of your day. Probably like us all, you've been looking into screens all day, isn't it? That means that we're slightly jet lagged. So we need to sort of come away from the front of the body, come away from our eyes, into the weight of your body on the ground. So one of the things I've been emphasizing is that you can't make yourself relax by an effort of will, but you can just set up the conditions to relax. the main thing to keep coming back to is just the sense of your weight on the floor. As soon as you feel your back on the floor, you are actually starting to relax, even if it might not feel like that. So really see if you can feel the whole expanse of your back on the floor. And it's almost as if your back is spreading out on the floor. Or you can imagine that the floor is kind of pressing up into your back. So you've got this lovely sense of letting go into the floor. And you can feel the whole extent of your back from the floor. And just tuning into that sense of relief, of not having to do anything anymore, not having to think anything anymore, not even having to hold your body up against gravity. And see if you can notice the weight of your head. Your head is much heavier than you usually think. So see if you can let the full weight of your head rest on the cushion. And you can imagine your neck softening. And as your neck softens, your weight, the weight of your head can rest down more and more. So your head is heavy. Your face is soft. See if you can relax your jaw and your mouth. So more and more of the weight of your head can rest on the cushion. Your head is heavy, your face is soft. And then you can feel the whole weight of your back on the ground. And you can just imagine your back going warm and heavy, softening, sinking down to the ground. So your head is heavy, your back is heavy on the ground. And it's a relief to feel your back on the ground. So as you lie here, your whole system is calming down, quietening down. softening your arms, softening your hands, so your arms become completely heavy. You can feel the full weight of your arms. And you can help your back relax by softening your belly. Letting go of any gripping in your belly. Calming down, quieting down. And you can feel that your legs are heavy. So your head is heavy on the floor, on the cushion. Your face is soft. Your arms are heavy, your legs are heavy. And you can keep bringing your attention back into your back, the warmth of your back, the heaviness of your back. So in a moment or two we're going to roll over on our side away from the shrine, and then I'm going to ask you to set up for meditation. But what I'd like us to all do is see if you can stay in the body all the time rather than thinking about setting up meditation. So when you're ready, rolling onto your side away from the shrine. And then when you're ready, and see if you can keep your attention in your body. See if you can just easily and naturally set up for meditation, but without any kind of rushing or trying to get to the end of the movement. Try and stay in your body rather than thinking. So making sure you've got all the cushions that you need to be completely comfortable. Make sure your knees are on the mat. I might just come around and have a look at you. If you're already set up, just sort of stop. So we're not going to do anything at first tonight. We're not going to try and meditate. And sit in your posture, in your meditation posture. So you really want to be set up so you can sit completely still. And, okay, so just closing your eyes. And as I said last week, we can't will ourselves to meditate, to relax. So often the first thing you need to do is just sort of wait, and that can be a bit uncomfortable because you've probably been very cerebral during the day, very out of touch with broader experience. So for the first few minutes, just sit completely still, without trying to do anything, including trying to meditate. We're just going to stop. And if your mind goes off, that's completely fine. Just when you notice it, without making a big deal of it, just remember your body a bit, come back into the weight of your body. But that's all, don't try and do any more than that. So you're not doing anything, you're just sitting still, kind of waiting. And as much as possible, try to wait in your body. But even that, don't make a big deal of it.
And then again, see if you can soften your face. Soften your eyes and your brow. And your jaw. See if you can feel any tightness or holding in your shoulders. And just imagine letting go of that. Imagining your shoulders softening, smoothing out, soothing out. And you could imagine your breath going into your shoulders. Or just imagine the muscles of your shoulders softening, releasing. And again, your belly, see if you can soften your belly. So that more and more of your weight is dropping down through the floor. So staying in touch with your body, the body's weight and warmth, the shape of your body as you sit here. And see if you can just tune into your breath as part of your overall experience. And for the next 5 minutes or so, see if you can just keep coming back to your body. And once you have a feeling of your body, including the breath, but keeping it as simple as that. If you notice you're distracted, that's fine. You come back to the body, the weight of the body, and then feel the breath. If your mind goes off, that's fine, don't make a problem of that. Just as best as you can, come back to the weight of your body on the cushions or the chair. And then including your breath. And then coming back to this direct sensation of your weight on the cushions. See if you can let go into the support of the chair or the cushions. When you're ready, coming out of the meditation. So just sit comfortably, don't carry on sitting in your meditation posture. Okay, so I want to carry on from last week. Who was here last week? Some people, that's very good. Some people weren't. So what I was saying last week was, and this is a sort of continuation of a seminar I was doing on the Monday Dharma class. I was saying that I want to bring the stress back into meditation. I think if we're not careful, our way of teaching meditation is just a bit too soft. And that's partly because that's a cultural kind of force at the moment, that we need to empathize all the time, that we need to be gentle all the time. And sometimes we do need to empathize, but we can't just empathize. It's not always easy to move from empathy to something more robust, but we can't just empathize. It's not good for people. We can't just empathize with ourselves. We can't just be gentle with ourselves. We need to sort of find the right level, as it were, of stress. So last week I was saying, effectively what that comes to mean, I've got more to say about it this week, but effectively what it comes to mean is, because the biggest effort is getting to meditate, isn't it, really? Never mind what you do in meditation, the biggest effort you make is actually getting to actually do it. So you can't do that gently usually. You need to get into the discipline. I say you, I also mean me, I mean everybody else. You need to get into the discipline of being able to actually, in most cases, get up and actually meditate, and meditate regularly. The main thing about meditation is its regularity rather than anything. People tend to stress big experiences, and it's lovely if you get them. But the main thing really that's important is regularity. So one of the ways of bringing stress back into meditation is using that effort to actually get yourself to meditate. And that takes a while to set up. Actually, when I first came to this class, however many years ago, 30 years ago or something, the teacher, just like me at the front here, exactly in this place, said, okay, you need to meditate every day. And I just did that, assuming that's what everybody did. And I was a bit surprised when everyone didn't. Actually, I could meditate for toffee, but I did sit on the cushions every day and fall asleep every day. So the first way of exercising effort is actually meditating. There's no way around that. People talk about you don't need to make any effort, but just to get to the cushions is usually the main effort you need to make, or whatever it is you're sitting on. getting into the regular routine of meditating, actually turning up. Yeah, you know that you need to. Everybody really should meditate. I mean should in the fully pejorative sense. We should be teaching it to children. It should be part of our culture that everybody in the morning meditates. When I first started working here, I was on the dole, and I went to have one of these interviews with the dole people, and she said to me, "What time can you start work?" And I said, 10 o'clock. She said, 10 o'clock? I said, yeah, because I meditate and then we have our community meetings, and so I can't do it before 10. She said, everyone starts at 9. I said, well, I can't. I can only start at 10. I just feel completely oblivious that my lifestyle was so different to everybody else's. But yeah, we should all really be meditating every day, because what meditation is, and I'm going to say more about that, is working directly on your mind with your mind. And if you don't work on your mind with your mind, other people will work on your mind for you. Your phone is trying to work on your mind all the time. I happened to glance at the possibility of a new jumper the other day, and every time I go online, I am besieged by knitwear. They know what I've been doing. And if you're tired and a bit ill or a bit stressed, or you're not having much fun, the easiest thing to do is buy yourself some new designer knitwear and then regret it. Yeah? So if you don't work on your mind, big tech is going to work on it for you. Yeah? So we all know that, and it's actually much more difficult to resist than we remember. So the main effort, first of all, is getting yourself to actually meditate. Then the next thing is, I think people need to meditate for longer, generally speaking. A lot of people have been doing headspace. Who's done headspace? Hands up. No, not so many people. Anyway, some people have been doing headspace. Usually they end up with 10-minute meditations. A friend of mine interviewed a psychologist who was saying that the minimum is 8 minutes. Oh, I thought there was someone coming in from it. The minimum is 8 minutes. And I kind of saw what she meant. But 8 minutes isn't really very... there's no Buddhist tradition where you meditate for 8 minutes. That's anyway, never mind. You're probably not that bothered about Buddhist tradition anyway. But mostly you need longer, don't you? You know you do, really. You need time to actually calm down. You need time to actually change gear. You can't optimize meditation so that you do 8 minutes and bash, you're in this great state. Yeah. Try and get your meditation up to at least 20 minutes a day. And it quite sort of organically and naturally, see if you can gradually meditate for a bit longer. I meditate for about an hour and a half a day, something like that. And that's after many years, and you don't want to force yourself to meditate longer for some sort of weird special prize. But most people need to meditate for a bit longer. Because life in the modern city is, incredibly overstimulating. We're dazed by information now all the time. We're constantly dazed, I think. And you can't just kind of switch into a new mode. You need to give yourself time. Yeah. And then the other thing this is all a recap. The other thing I was saying last week was the other main thing we need to do to bring stress back into meditation, as it were, is to go on retreat regularly. One of the reasons why we don't always get as much from meditation as we could, and most of us probably don't, is that we're just not in very good conditions. The world as we've created it is unpropitious for meditation. It doesn't want you to meditate, really. It wants you to buy things, do things, share yourself on Instagram and so on. It wants you to market yourself, produce. You want to become a sort of production for the marketplace almost. So it doesn't want you to go off on retreat and turn your phone off. But actually that's what we all need to be doing pretty regularly if we're to survive this modern era. And, young people don't look like they're surviving very well. And Gen Z, as I've often said, are the most unhealthy generation on record since records began. Yeah. So the first ways of bringing stress back into meditation is being a bit more like, I do want to get on with this. I need to get on with this. You need to. You don't need some 63-year-old to sit at the front of a room and tell you. You actually know you need to. I know I need to. And I also, I'm lazy and all sorts of other things, just as you are. Yeah. So what I'm trying to do is let's turn the dial up to I know I need to, so let's create a discipline to do that. Yeah, it's a bit like an artist discipline to get to the studio. The East End of London, I don't know whether it's true anymore, but it used to have more artist studios in the East End of London than any other part of the world, of England, I think. And most of them are empty. So what happens is artists think, if I get a studio, I used to be like this myself, if I get a studio, I'll be paying a rent and that'll make me go into the studio and work. And very often it doesn't work. You pay the rent, but you still don't go in much. Yeah? So like an artist has to get a discipline of going into the studio and actually working. It's the same with meditation. It's very like an artistic discipline. And that takes time to set up. Yeah. So what I want to come on to today is the whole matter of making effort. I actually want to say something before that, but I thought I'd have time to say that before we have tea, but I probably haven't, so I'll come on to that in a minute. But the main theme I want to start to explore tonight is this great matter of what effort is in meditation. So the main effort, as I've said, is to actually get yourself to do it, and get yourself to do it regularly. That's actually quite a difficult effort for many people, to do the same practice again and again, to meditate again and again, not to sort of think, I'll do another groovy practice, I'll do this, I'll do that, but try and stick at a kind of discipline, yeah? Otherwise, it's a bit like one day you get up and you think, I'm going to play the cello. Next day you get up and you think, I'm going to play the sax. Next day you get up and think, I'll do some coding. Yeah, if you do that, and this is what modern life is suggesting that we do. That you need to be free to express yourself. All it means is you end up being superficial. Yeah, if you want to get good at the cello, you probably won't be able to do masses of coding as well. If you want to be good at coding, about which I know nothing. And I know nothing. Anyway, if you want to do that, you need to sort of go into that. So what you need is the broadest possible outlook on life. You need like the broadest possible philosophy, and Buddhism would say, well, that needs to be really strongly to do with working with your mind and going on a journey to discover the truth of things, how things really are. That's the Buddhist vision. You need the broadest possible outlook, but you need a narrow practice. And that's what we're losing. One of the things, many things we're losing in modern life is a narrow practice. The instinct now, especially post-YouTube and so on, is to do a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of the other. And that does feel like I get to sculpt my life exquisitely to my unique personality. But actually all it means is you get a bit kind of humanly and spiritually flabby. I hope you can still say that. You get sort of more superficial. Yeah. So you need a broad outlook, a broadly humane outlook, particularly, and you need a narrow practice. Practice, by definition, is kind of narrow. You need to take up a practice. You need to do it again and again and again. So one of the things that I want us to be sort of emphasizing more is, taking up the practice. The same mindfulness of breathing, metta-bhavana, doing it every day, trying to get deeper into it rather than thinking, actually, let's do some Dzogchen, let's do some Advaita Vedanta, let's do some Christian mysticism, yeah? Which is very much the spirit of the moment, which looks kind of sexy, but it's kind of not. Yeah? It just means that you don't ever really deepen. It's just like a pick and mix kind of attitude. Really understandable, because that is the world you're being sold. Everyone's trying to market their stuff. Yeah, so you need to choose a discipline. You could choose this discipline, or you could go to another Buddhist center or another spiritual group or whatever you want to do and choose that discipline. But you need to choose it, and you need to. I'm getting very authoritative here. I've already done that actually. But anyway, you need to choose a discipline and then stick to it. Yeah, so that's how you go deeper in life. It's just like if you want to play the cello and you want to play the sax and you want to be the great coder, if you want to be a great scientist, you need to choose one of those things. Yeah? You can't do all of them, despite what modern life is telling you. This whole thing of live your best life. Your best life is actually weirdly a narrow life, where you go into depth in one or two things, yeah? Not where you try to spread yourself out. So you might want to choose to do that here, but you might not. You might want to choose to do that in another tradition altogether. That's fine, but choose something and stick to it. That's how you go. That's how you kind of put on spiritual and human kind of muscle, is you test yourself with a discipline. That's what all traditions, Buddhist and other, have always assumed, that you're going to stick with it. Yeah. So that's in a way the main effort we all need to make if we want to go deeper in life. Of course, if we don't, we can just binge watch Netflix. But if we want to go deeper in life, which is the only place to find satisfaction, we need to have a broad outlook and a narrow practice, which is quite countercultural now. The assumption is you have a broad outlook and a broad practice. You can't actually do that. You can't practice Theravada meditation at the same time as a Zen koan, at the same time as Advaita Vedanta, at the same time as Christian Gnosticism. You just can't do that. Or if you try to do that, you won't really do any of those things, because they're all, very profound traditions, and you won't really be doing any of them, and that won't serve you. So that was none of that I was going to say. In fact, I was going to say something else, but I'll say there's something else after we've had a cup of tea. So I particularly, in the second half, I was very struck, I can't remember whether you're here. Somebody asked me a question at the end of the evening last week, where she was saying, and I'll give you the context for this after tea break, she was saying, oh, it was you, was it? What's your name again? That's right, I knew it began with C even. In fact, you were sitting in that sort of place, but downstairs, at the back. And you said, and it was a very good question, and so often it's questions that one wants, not answers, but you said, if meditation isn't about being in the moment, which it isn't, shock, horror, it isn't about that. I don't know where people have got that from, but it's not about that at all. Anyway, if it isn't about that, what is it about, yeah? Anyway, I've been mulling over your question for the whole week, Caroline. So we'll come back to it. Is that not your question?
Mine was the question about the love thing, about like if you... the question was more to do with like, if it's like, if it's not, it was more to do like, I envisioned like metta with someone to like ground myself in a certain way.
Okay, well, somewhere I've got
somebody
else. But let's say it was you, because it'd be nice if it was you. You've got two questions now, really good questions. Go for that. You're like, I asked two great questions, weirdly. One was retrospectively. Anyway, we'll get onto that after the tea break. So let's go and have a cup of tea, and then let's explore that, because that's been on my mind for the week.
You mentioned about doing 1.5 hours practice a day.
Yeah.
Is that, just out of curiosity, if you don't mind sharing, is that something you do in the morning and just that, or you do a bit in the morning, a bit in the day?
So we're going to start with meditation again. So just set yourself up to meditate. We'll just do a brief meditation before I say a bit more. So yeah, when you're ready, setting yourself up to meditate. As soon as you're ready, closing your eyes. And once again, just see if you can just stop. So all you need to do really is just feel the weight of your body and just sort of wait without any sense that you're trying to do anything, including any sense that you're trying to improve yourself. At the moment, all you're going to do is just wait for 5 minutes. And the simplest way of doing that is to bring your attention into the weight of your body on the chair or the cushions as a direct experience. So your body is heavy on the cushions or the chair, and you can feel the support of the cushions as a direct sensation, not as a mental image. See if you can soften your face, especially the muscles around your eyes. See if you can let go of your shoulders. And that means bringing your attention into your shoulders and just working to let them go. Just imagining them softening, relaxing, dropping down your back. See if you can soften your belly. So you don't need to grip onto your belly just now. And then really feeling the weight of your body dropping down through the cushions, through the floor, deep into the ground below you. So your face is soft. Your eyes are soft. You can let go of your shoulders. You can soften your belly. So really bringing your attention into the sensation of support from the cushions of the chair and the floor. And your weight dropping down through that support. And when you're ready, opening your eyes. So once again, sitting comfortably. Okay, so I want to try to answer this question that Karen didn't ask. Somebody else. And it's interesting because many people come to meditation thinking that meditation is about being in the moment. I remember talking to Sangharakshita about it, the founder of our movement, and he said, I've never heard a Buddha. He had a very particular. I do impressions of him, and because you probably never heard of him. You don't know why I'm suddenly talking in a funny way. When I change my voice, I'm doing an impression of him. Probably shouldn't do, but anyway, I do that. And he said, but I've never heard any Buddhist teach that. And I said, well, I've heard lots of Buddhists teach that, but I don't see that in the Buddhist tradition at all. And I asked him about it. He said it's just basically a kind of posh way of saying you need to be concentrated. When you're concentrated, actually it's not a very good way of even saying that, because when you're concentrated, you don't have a sense of being in the moment. You're just absorbed in a very natural way, and time passes in a new way. My metaphor for this is always, if you, having children in my life, if you stop children playing and say, are you enjoying yourself? They look at you, it's like, you can see them think, what's that got to do with anything? It's actually, when you do that with children, it's actually confusing and irritating for them to say, are you having a good time? Because they then have to distance themselves from their experience and decide what abstract category to put their experience in. They were just having a good time until you ask them about, are you having a good time? Yeah? And now you've spoilt it. So it's like really irritating. I remember doing it with the girls, and it's sort of like, you've now ruined it. I remember the girls playing in the bath once, and Alex said to me, Matrabandi, why don't you go in the kitchen and listen to your music? Because they wanted to sort of play and make fantasies, and I was, if I was there, it just stopped that. They couldn't do it with me there, so they had to get me to go into the kitchen and listen to my music. I don't know why I tell you these things, but there you go. I hope those online are interested. So meditation it's to do with being absorbed, really. And when you're absorbed, yes, your experience of time changes and can change very, very drastically. It can feel like you don't know how long you've been there. Time is, but from Buddhism, time is a function of consciousness. It's not part of reality. So when your consciousness changes, your experience of time will change. Sometimes in a way that's quite difficult to explain. Anyway, I won't go into it because I'll just get off on one. Anyway, it's not about that. It's not about being in the moment. If you try to be in the moment, all it does is put you under stress. You sort of think that's the good thing I should do, but you probably can't do it. It's either very high teaching that you're not ready for, or it's an unhelpful abstraction. Then I was cogitating on this during the week, and Bhante Sangharakshita, the founder of this movement, he said, meditation is a continuous stream of positive mental events. That's what it is. Yeah? And to see how different that is, instead of being in the moment, and then when you do that, you make the moment into like a place that you can be in, like Coventry. But we call it the moment, which you can actually be in the moment, like you can be in Coventry. Or you can have a flow of positive mental events. Yeah? So you've got three words in Buddhism about meditation. You've got what's called everyday consciousness, you could say. Then you've got dhyana, which is supraconscious mental states, above and beyond your everyday consciousness, which, when they go deeper, are touched by sacredness, by magic. When you experience dhyana, time changes its nature entirely. You feel ecstatic and so on. So often the word that we translate into English as meditation is actually dhyana or samadhi. And then there's transcendental awareness above that. Yeah? So even dhyana, which are, supra-conscious states of mind. In other words, they're states of mind above and beyond your everyday consciousness. As they go deeper, you wouldn't be able to even move in those states of mind because they're so rapturous. You can have all sorts of body changes in those states of mind and so on. People can often see forms and colours and so on. You have visionary experiences. That's all in dhyana. Then there's transcendental states of mind above that. Yeah. So the way to enter into dhyana, or the collective word really is samadhi, is to think what I'm trying to do here is to create a continuous stream of positive mental events. Yeah. That's every time you sit to meditate. I think it was useful, this question last week, because it's made me think about this Bante's point. Bante, by the way, it means reverent teacher. I always call Bante. I never call him Sangharashtra. It seems weird. It really helped me see more clearly what Bante is talking about. So that's what you're sitting down to do, is establish yourself in a continuous stream, and notice he's using a temporal metaphor, not a spatial one. So you can't be in a stream, you have to flow with the stream. It's not like Coventry. Yeah? So a continuous stream of positive mental events. Now, this I think is very helpful because it's dynamic. Yeah, it's something that you're trying to find your way into that stream, like going into midstream, where you can get into the stream of positive mental events. And that stream has a momentum to it. Once you can get into that stream of positive mental events, they tend to get stronger. Yeah. Just as once you're in a stream of negative mental events, they tend to get stronger, don't they? So I've been weirdly grouchy recently. I thought I'd got over being weirdly grouchy, but I seem to have returned to being weirdly grouchy. There's all sorts of reasons why. But once you're in a slightly grouchy, slightly tired, slightly something state, all you need to do is you look around your experience and you can find more and more things to be slightly tired and grouchy and irritable about. Yeah? And negative states sort of build up, don't they? You wake up, you're in a bit of a bad mood, then you get irritated with this person, then that reminds you of somebody else, and then you get on the tube, oh my God, so many people on the tube, like, where have they all come from? And they're all thinking about that about you. Where's this woman come from? You can just find more and more reasons for getting in a negative mental state. And a lot of what we call life is really a stream of negative mental states. Yeah. Sorry to be so whatever, but it's just the truth. It's better to wake up to that now. You either hankering after something you haven't got. You know that feeling when you think, this is crap, but soon there'll be coffee. And everything will be all right once I get that flat right. This is rubbish, I'm so bored, but soon coffee. And then the universe could click into place. Or then after you have the coffee, soon it's lunch. And then soon it's a cuddle. In one way in which we commit ourselves to negative mental states is by hankering after something we haven't got. Yeah? And really believing that thing we're hankering after will solve our discomfort now. The reason I'm uncomfortable now is because I'm grouchy and irritable and annoyed with everybody now, because I haven't had coffee. Once I have coffee, I will be like the Buddha. Alas, it doesn't work. And so on. So that's one way. And then, of course, the other way is to be irritable. And there's more and more evidence, I think, that we're, as a culture, becoming more and more irritable. Ian McGilchrist, who I've been reading a lot, who's a psychiatrist and a sort of philosopher, he one of his thoughts is that we're losing sorrow from life. That we're losing that sort of sorrowfulness, that people get angry and annoyed rather than sorrowful. I don't mean depressive, I mean sort of sorrowful, rather than sort of thinking, oh God, it's really difficult that people are like that. There's a lot in modern life that seems to be pushing us towards irritation, feeling overwhelmed, feeling put upon, and so on. Yeah? Once you start thinking like that I am being put upon, or etc., you'll just see more and more evidence for it. Yeah. So we know what a stream of negative mental events is like, and I bet you've had them. If you haven't, you're either the Buddha or you're telling a fib. So meditation is that you're trying to set up a stream of positive mental events. So do you see how the first thing you need to do is recognize what kind of mental state you're in now? And if you're in a negative mental state, can you not make it worse? Yeah? Can you manage yourself, as it were? Can you not make it worse? One of the things that's really important to remember is however unhappy you are or grouchy you are, you can always make it worse. Yeah? Really easily. All you need to do is just get a bit more grouchy with your partner, or a bit more short-tempered with the children, or a bit more short-tempered at work, and you will make it worse. And then people will push back on you, and then before you know it, you're making it worse. Really, really easy to make mental states worse. Very, very difficult not to sometimes. So the first thing you start to do in meditation, you try to take hold of the mental state you're in and try not to make it worse. And that's not very easy. So I've been rather sort of unwell recently and all sorts of other things, but it's very easy for me in meditation to make my difficult experience worse by, for instance, reacting to physical discomfort. By, for instance, I'm not sleeping very well, so it's very easy to, because I've got discomfort, it's very easy then, you're a bit more, it's like your bandwidth is a bit narrower, so it's very easy to get irritable. So you try to take up the state of mind you're in, and try to be willing to feel it, especially if it's uncomfortable, and see if you can just not make it worse. Yeah? And we make it worse by reacting to it. Yeah? So you can see how this, what seems a simple thing, as a continuous flow of positive mental events, is actually very, very profound. First of all, we need to take hold of the mental state we're in, not make it worse. And we tend to make things worse habitually and automatically without quite noticing it. So for instance, when I started meditating, I used to always fall asleep in meditation, and I'd get really annoyed with myself because I thought it was time for a Zen breakthrough. So I just get annoyed with being tired, and that would make my tiredness worse immediately because you sort of polarize against yourself. So as soon as you polarize with your experience, in other words, as soon as you wish you were having another experience than you're actually having, you're actually making it worse. And you can do that with meditation as well. You can think, I need to do this thing called meditation, which is not what I'm experiencing now. What I'm experiencing now isn't meditation. I need to get on to that thing called meditation. Do you see what I mean? Like, this experience I'm having now, that's not it. There needs to be another one that I need to get, and I'm no good at getting that, and I keep on not being very good at that. Do you see how we so often get into that? That is just a negative state of mind, isn't it? I've got this abstraction called meditation, which I should be able to do, which I can't do, which I shouldn't be having the experience I'm having. I should be having some other experience. Now, you don't do that very consciously. You do it sort of automatically. You sit there and think, you sort of have this slightly subconscious thing, and this isn't very good. This isn't what I signed up for. This is not meditation. It needs to be better than this. And then you try and make it better than that without really realizing that, no, that's the problem, is that I'm kind of leaning forward and thinking it should be otherwise. You are trying to make your mind otherwise, but you don't do it by being aversive to the state of mind you're in. Basically, that's we have like these micro aversions, not microaggressions, but micro aversions, where we just don't like the experience we're having, and we want a better one, and we think that is meditation. Yeah? Actually, all it is a subtle aversion to your experience. And it never leads to meditation. So the first thing you need to do is sort of back off from that and feel your experience, whatever it is, comfortable or uncomfortable. And I think what one of the reasons why we struggle with meditation is that there's much more uncomfortable experience than we want. Yeah, we want something nice and blissful, like it. You know, there's photographs of meditation where they're wearing, you know, yoga outfits and there's a big mountain and a swimming pool. It's never actually like that. Yeah. So we don't want discomfort, and then you can get aversive to that. And then, so you, first of all, is you try to take hold of the mental state you're in, which is really just an embodied state, comfortable or uncomfortable, tense or relaxed, and you try to feel it, and that trying to feel it is you meditating. Yeah? And then you try to see if you can not react to it by more aversion. I should be better at this. I was hoping I'd go further than this. That's just more and more of the same as a sort of negative mental event. Yeah? You're trying to then take hold of the mental state and see if you can nudge it toward a positive mental state at first. And that is very often, very simply just, okay, so yeah, it is a bit uncomfortable. So I think actually one of the things I've been thinking quite a bit is that we're over-teaching turning towards your experience, because you can, most people I don't think are ready for that quite often actually. Which I mean you turn towards your uncomfortable experience and then you just feed the discomfort. What I've been doing quite a lot recently is acknowledging discomfort, which I have quite a lot of, and then I just imagine comfort. Or I imagine something that makes me feel more comfortable. In other words, you try to, in a not very willed way, you try to sort of bring a positive into that. If you can turn towards it, you need to already be in a very positive state of mind. Sometimes you haven't got a choice, but usually I think we overteach it. So, you sit there, you take hold of the state. Oh, actually, I'm in this state. So how would I imagine another state? The reason why body awareness is so important is so that it doesn't just become a kind of fantasy. You're not just thinking about stuff. You're trying to imagine, how would I feel now if I was more relaxed than I am now? Let me imagine being more relaxed. Well, I was talking last week about bringing in a loved person in your mind, thinking of someone who loves you, who's just always pleased to see you. Because when you think of them, you'll find that you'll relax more. Yeah. But what you're trying, as long as you kind of, there's lots of practices, but basically you're just trying to find a way of getting yourself into a stream of positive mental states without trying to, and not mixing that up. We're trying to get away from the states of mind you're in. Yeah, you are trying to get away from them, but not through aversion, not because you don't want them, not because they're uncomfortable. You're just trying to feel your experience as you've got them and nudge it in the right direction. Eventually, as you get more positive in meditation, it gets easier to be in that stream. Yeah, that's my experience. It starts to have its own momentum, just as negative mental states have their own momentum. You can start to sort of bring more to it. So what we'll do in a minute now, we'll just do the mindfulness of breathing. And you can just do it how you like. You can do it go through the stages, or just do the first stage or the third stage. But just have in mind that all I'm trying to do here really is establish myself in this stream of positive mental events. So if I get distracted and then I get annoyed by being distracted, which is what often happens kind of sort of subconsciously, that's just taking me away from a stream of negative mental from a stream of positive mental states. Yeah. If I get annoyed that I've got distracted from the breath again, all that is going the opposite direction of what you're trying to do. If I think, I just can't believe that I can't get to 10, or all that sort of thing, or I wish my mind wasn't so noisy, I wish I wasn't thinking about stuff, all you're doing is going in the opposite direction to the meditation. What you do is you think, okay, I was distracted, that's all right. What's that about? What is the distraction? Am I anxious? Am I upset about something? Am I just feeling kind of uncomfortable? How could I be more patient with that? Imagine myself in a different place than that. And then let's see if I can just go back to the breath again. Let's just do one breath then. And then just relax in my body. Sometimes I'll just do 5. I just think, okay, let's just do 5 breaths. Never mind anything else. Do 5 breaths, then have a break, have a cigarette. and a whiskey. Think about stuff and then think, okay, and then you do 5 breaths again, you know. You're just trying to find a way of getting your whole being moving in the right direction. And that requires a skill. You need to keep learning that. That's why you need to keep coming back to the center. It requires skill. It requires a certain kind of sensitivity to your experience, not an oversensitivity, but a sensitivity to your experience. And it requires a little bit of magic, really. You're trying to sort of shepherd yourself towards this stream of positive mental events and gradually kind of encourage them to grow. Yeah, the metaphor from Tibetan meditation is that your mind's like a sheepdog, where you're trying to gather up all the sheep and get them all to go in one direction. Good sheepdogs, they don't bite the sheep, they don't frighten, they just keep on gathering them all together. So that's all you're doing. When you sit there, you just keep gathering yourself together in this stream of positive mental events. If you react to your experience, if you wish your experience was other than it is, all you're doing is you're moving away from that stream of positive mental states. Yeah? If you try and push your experience into being better than it is, you're just being negative, actually. You think you're not, but you're just being negative. But if you just blob out and just say, well, it doesn't matter, I'll just blob out here, that's negative as well. Yeah. You have to somehow, using skill and a bit of magic and a bit of subtlety and a bit of good humour and a bit of not taking yourself too seriously in a sort of spiritual way, you need to just kind of eke yourself forward and start to sort of imagine. Let's just imagine what it would be like if I was really absorbed in the breath just now and really enjoying it. And that starts to foster that, yeah? But if you just think, okay, every time I sit to meditate, I'm not trying to be in the moment, because if I do that, it'll just stress me, actually. What I'm trying to do is foster this continual stream of positive mental events, which means I need to not react to negative mental events and make them worse. I need to not be aversive to discomfort and make it worse. I need to somehow shepherd my mind away from, the toxic things we all get into something that's actually in my own interests. Yeah? And because it's in my own genuine interest, it's in everybody else's interest as well. Yeah. Okay, so let's have a go at doing that. So I won't lead it, I'll just ring bells at the start and the end. And I've said enough about how to work. So see if you can set yourself up so you can sit completely still. Okay, so that's all we've got time for today. So when you're ready, and there's no rush, if you can put your cushions on the side there and the mats in the corner, and then hopefully you'll come back next week. Okay.